inspiring story of kindness and humanity. The first thing he noticed wasn't the cold. It was the way the man tried to hide it. On a freezing New York night, when the wind cut through coats like they were made of paper, and the streets hummed with people too busy to care, Daniel Harper stood outside a convenience store gripping a cup of coffee that had already gone lukewarm. Across the sidewalk, just beneath the flickering glow of a broken streetlight, an older man sat on the pavement, shoulders hunched, pretending not to shiver, pretending not to exist. Daniel had seen people like him before. Everyone had people you pass without seeing, people you step around like cracks in the sidewalk. But tonight felt different. Maybe it was the way the man carefully folded his hands, as if holding on to dignity was the last thing he had left. Maybe it was the way no one stopped. Or maybe it was the quiet voice inside Daniel that refused to let him walk away. He hesitated just for a second. Because kindness isn't always easy. It interrupts. It asks questions you don't want to answer. It forces you to care when it's more convenient not to. But then he moved. "Hey," Daniel said gently, crouching down. "You okay?" The man looked up, startled like someone had just spoken to a ghost. His beard was thin and gray, his eyes tired but sharp. "I'm fine," he replied quickly. "Too quickly." Daniel nodded, recognizing the lie but respecting it. "You eating today?" Another pause. Then a small shake of the head. Daniel stood, walked back into the store, and came out a few minutes later with 2 sandwiches, a bottle of water, and a fresh cup of coffee. He handed them over without ceremony. "Here," he said. "It's nothing." But it wasn't nothing. The man's hands trembled as he accepted the food, not just from hunger, but from something deeper, something like disbelief. Daniel sat down beside him. Not above him, not in a rush. Beside him. "My name's Daniel. Marcus," the man replied after a moment. And just like that, 2 strangers became something else. They talked for a while about nothing important and everything that mattered. Marcus had once been a construction worker. He'd had a family, a home, a life that made sense. But one bad accident led to another. Bills piled up and eventually the world moved on without him. "It happens faster than you think," Marcus said quietly. "One day you're somebody, next day you're invisible." Daniel didn't know what to say to that, so he didn't try to fix it. He just listened. And sometimes that's the most powerful thing a person can do. Before leaving, Daniel reached into his wallet and handed Marcus some cash. "It's not much," he said, "but it might help." Marcus hesitated. Not because he didn't need it, but because accepting help can feel like admitting defeat. Then slowly he took it. "You didn't have to stop," Marcus said. Daniel gave a small smile. "Yeah, I did." That should have been the end of it. Just another quiet act of kindness in a city that forgets everything by morning. But it wasn't, because 3 days later, Daniel's life fell apart. It started with a phone call, the kind that makes your stomach drop before you even answer. His company, where he'd worked for 8 years, was downsizing, budget cuts, restructuring, words that sounded professional but felt like a punch to the chest. "You're a great employee," his manager said. "This isn't personal, but it always is." By the end of the day, Daniel was packing his desk into a cardboard box, trying to ignore the way people avoided eye contact as he walked out. By the end of the week, his savings didn't feel like enough. By the end of the month, the fear had settled in. Real fear, the kind Marcus had talked about. One night, unable to sleep, Daniel found himself walking the same streets again, past the same store, past the same flickering light, and there, sitting in the same spot, was Marcus. But something was different. He wasn't alone. A small group of people stood around him. 2 women, a teenager, a man in a business suit. They were handing out blankets, food, even warm clothes, laughing, talking, helping. Daniel slowed, confused. Then Marcus looked up and saw him and smiled. "Hey," Marcus called out, his voice stronger than before. "You came back." Daniel walked over, trying to process what he was seeing. "What's going on?" Marcus stood up, brushing off his coat. It was new, clean. "You are," Marcus said simply. Daniel frowned. "What?" Marcus gestured to the group. "After you left that night, I couldn't stop thinking about it. One person stopped just one, and it changed everything." He pointed to the others. "I told my story. Someone listened. Then they told someone else, and now this happens every night." Daniel looked around, overwhelmed. People who didn't know each other coming together for no reason other than to help. All because of a moment he almost walked away from. "You started something," Marcus said. Daniel shook his head. "No, I just bought you a sandwich." Marcus smiled. "Exactly." There was a silence between them. Not empty, but full, heavy with meaning. Then Marcus reached into his pocket and pulled out an envelope. "What's this?" Daniel asked. "Open it." Inside was cash. More than Daniel had given him, more than Daniel expected. "I can't take this," Daniel said immediately. "You can," Marcus replied. "Because it's not from me." Daniel looked up. "It's from them," Marcus said, nodding toward the group. "I told them about you. About what you did. About how you didn't walk away." Daniel felt something tighten in his chest. "They wanted to help," Marcus continued, said. "If someone like you could care about a stranger, then they could care about you." Daniel blinked hard, trying to hold himself together. I didn't do it for this, he said. I know, Marcus said softly. That's why you deserve it. For a moment, the noise of the city faded. No traffic, no voices, just two people standing in the middle of something bigger than both of them. Daniel finally nodded, his voice barely steady. Thank you, Marcus grinned. Guess we're even now. Daniel shook his head, a small laugh breaking through the emotion. Not even close, because kindness doesn't work like that. It doesn't keep score, it multiplies. That night, Daniel didn't just go home, he stayed. He helped hand out food. He talked to people. He listened. And for the first time since losing his job, he didn't feel lost. He felt needed. Weeks passed. The group grew. What started as a handful of strangers became something real. A community. People brought what they could. Time, food, warmth, hope. And Daniel, he found something he hadn't even realized he was searching for. Purpose. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the skyline and the city lights flickered to life, Marcus sat beside him on the curb. Funny, isn't it? Marcus said. What? How one small moment can change everything. Daniel nodded. He thought about that night, about the hesitation, the choice, about how close he had come to walking away. Yeah, he said quietly. It really is. Marcus looked at him, a knowing smile in his eyes. You didn't save me, you know. Daniel frowned. What do you mean? You reminded me I still mattered, Marcus said. That's different. Daniel swallowed, feeling the weight of those words. Because maybe that's what people need most, not to be saved, but to be seen. The wind picked up colder now, but it didn't feel as harsh. Not anymore, because the street wasn't empty. It was full of people who cared. And in a world that often moves too fast to notice the ones left behind, that kind of humanity, it changes